Okay, so if you've been following along, you probably also have, well, you probably have a neater big plate of spaghetti than this, but we're about at the point where we're going to start pushing things into Energy Plus to get that IDF that we want to make our PHPP happy. But first we have to change a few things. So these surfaces here, I believe it's these two, these boundary surfaces, we're going to want to make their own construction real quick, or their own surface really quick. My bad, but we're just going to knock that out. We'll go ahead and do 0, 0, outdoors, outdoors, move this down, just move this over here, move that there, and then take these geometries, feed them into there, and then take them out of these two. Just trust me. I've been we're having some issues earlier in the next segment with those also being windows. They also don't really need to be. We already have an obscene amount of glazing. Let's make some names real quick. Wall 5. This one is wall 6. And then let's add our construction to them real quick. And cool. So next, what we want to do is find our BT tab, there we go, for IDF to PH, and we're going to get the create window component. Now for this we need a Honeybee zone, which we do not yet have. Now we're not going to be using these for the zone. So the IDF and the PHPP look at fenestration differently. Ed May explains it in depth in the Windows section of his tutorials, but basically we need to do things a little bit different. Now we have the object with the glazing, but we don't have it's nowhere to be found. We don't have the glazing itself, so what we're going to do is open this up. Now if you scroll all the way down, and surprise, I'm making you do Python, so we have these two outputs as the results. This is what's being returned. Now we only have Honeybee object with glazing, so what we're going to do is copy this, Control C, and scroll back up to the top, and in between these three and these three quotations is where the arguments and returns are defined and the hints are given. So what we're going to do in the returns is add one, oops, paste that there, window, surfs. Okay, cool. Still have to add, double click on it again, hit test. I'm sure there's an easier way to do that. And now we are getting our window surfaces returned from the components. I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of these real quick and then get right back. We have all of our glazing based on ratio components outputting the surfaces that comprise the windows. So what we're going to do now is go to the Honeybee tab, create a Honeybee zone, and we're going to grab all the surfaces that we have made previously and plug them in. forget about these two. Nice. Now, we aren't getting a zone out. We have to name it. Funky Townhouse. Now it's going to be stuck in my head. Okay, we name it, and... Huh. There we go. Boom. Honeybee Zone. Now this is where we start getting into the IDF to PH portion of the show. Now we're going to take this Honeybee Zone, plug that into here. Now if you go to group 2 and drag that down, we're going to start doing stuff. Now what we need for this are optional names. We're not going to do that. We are going to do frames, we are going to do glazings, and we're not going to worry about the rest other than window geometry because the other components we have are going to take care of these. So let's go ahead and grab all of the glazing surfaces and put those into window geometry. Hey, it's doing stuff, cool. Now let's go ahead and ungroup this, get rid of that. Now what we're going to need is 3 list items because we have the window costs as well. So list item. Now for this first one, let's put the frames in. Oops, I did that thing. There we go. Now the second one, let's go ahead and put the glazings in. Now what we're going to need is a gene pool. You might have guessed it. So we have 3 options. Let's go ahead and edit. We only need 1. No decimals. 0, 2. Nice. Don't forget WLC 4. Index. Index. And we'll just go ahead and get this one ready for later. Just tuck that down here. Nice. So let's move these over here, try to get a little neater. Now these ones are our frames, so they're gonna pop into here. Glazings into here. And voila! Good to go. Alright, so after that what we're doing is we have to take this Honeybee Add Glazing. So we're going to take our Honeybee zones, put them into Honeybee Ob, take our window surfaces to child surfaces, window names, EP constructions. And now we have a honeybee object with glazing. Nice. So let's get back to the BT tab. Too many plugins. What we're going to do is create our, no, we're just going to use this one. Honeybee object with glazing goes into there. We're not going to worry about room geometry and room TFA surfaces right now, but we will talk about them because here as you can see, there's dimension, there's mass, or not mass, there's shape and volume to these rooms. And that is created by this. You can pipeline in your TFA surfaces and it will either automatically build up 2.5 meters, or is it 2.5? Yep, 2.5. And you can also make irregular geometry and all this cool stuff as long as you cut the bottom off and drop it right on top of the surface. Now back to the other stuff. So we have that passing into here. Now we're going to get into ventilation real quick. And for that we are going to need calc vent flow rates and create room vent schedule. Now fan speed high, we'll do it 1 because that's 100%. And then fan speed medium 0.5. Now for the time, we are getting, we're going to go expression. Let's just do, I'm copying off of Ed. One of the 24 hours in the day we're going to be on high. And 23 of 24 on medium. You can also make stuff like this variables in your gene pool. And there we go. We have our ventilation schedule. Oops, that's awkward. There we go. That's plugged into here. Take Honeybee Zone, throw it into Honeybee Zone. Airflow input. We're going to leave that. Cool. Now, what we're doing is we are adding a zone vent system. So we can make this more compressed. Honeybee zones into here. Now let's go ahead and make our ventilation system real quick. Now go ahead and grab group 3. Bring that over to us. And we'll go through this. Clean that up, make that go away. Now the first thing that we need, well, it's not the first thing. First thing we're going to do is the duct, HRV duct 1, HRV duct 2, 1, 2, you have your length, width, insulation thickness, insulation conductivity, plug these into here. And now for vent system type, we're going to do balanced. So that's going to be an input of 1. Now These are our ERV options. So you might have guessed it. Let's do another gene pool for 3 options, no decimals, 0, 2, WLC 5, list item, vent unit, vent unit, vent unit, index. Go ahead and build up our cost one for later. Bring that down into vent unit. Let's go ahead and name it Funky Down Air. Nice. Easy day. Now, if we take a look at these, you'll notice that there's difference in the performance of all of them, as well as the cost. Like I said, the numbers for cost are semi-arbitrary right now. They're not actually based off of much other than some Googling and some assumed numbers and all that good stuff. Arbitrary, right? So we're going to connect that into here. And this is where the fun begins. It actually began when we started, but what we're going to do is download an EPW weather file. So go over to Ladybug, Boolean toggle, cool. So let's, oops, wrong button. Let's go over to New York. I always like using the airport weather data just because I know how often it's updated, and or now we're just gonna use this one, I guess. Yeah, let's go here. Perfect. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And let's go ahead and just drop this. Boom, giant panel. Whoa. And what we're gonna want from this is to drop it in here. And we have our EPW file. Now we're about to branch off into 2 different things. So let's go back to Honeybee. Now what we want is export to Open Studios. This is when we're going to start creating that file that's going to populate the PHP. Let's go ahead and put the EPW file in here. Honeybee zones in there. We're actually going to prop this up here. Now, we don't want to write the OSM yet. We don't want to run the simulation yet, so we're going to put 3 because that's going to generate the IDF from the OSM, and it's not going to run the sim. That's a 4. There we are. Cool. Now open Studio's name.